Now we're back on. Good morning, everybody. It's good to see you here on, can you believe it, December 3rd with only 21 more shopping days before Christmas. Or if you need to upgrade from whichever list you're on, we've got a few more days either to hold on or to try to get from one list to the other. So I hope everybody's on the nice list coming up here for that big event toward the end of this month. After we did the town hall from last time, several of you asked, how in the world did you do that? So this morning I took a quick pano of the room that we're in here at 1610 University Avenue. And so you're looking behind the curtain there a little bit with Susan and Trent running things. Some of you asked how we did it last time, and I said magic. And after seeing the setup here, it might as well be magic. I don't know how Trent knows how to put all the wires where he does to make all this work. So anyway, it's good to be with you for our town hall today. And as we've been doing in our town halls, I want to start off with our shout outs. And so first up this morning on our shout outs, we'll have Dr. Jennifer Epley talking about some shout outs for some CIS folks. Jennifer?
Thank you, Dr. Byrd. Good morning, everyone. So, as you may know, Mary Guzman, Joanne Hatcher, and Catherine McDermott have been working in the resource rooms for the American Job Centers for the last several years. They are awesome. They are the epitome of customer service, and they have so many people, like a little cult following, actually, who just love them so much and come in to see them. So, we're just so grateful that they are such great ambassadors for customer service and for UT. And we just really want to applaud them for all of their work and all their efforts. So thank you so much, Dr. Byrd.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Epley. And next up for CTAS, John Walden.
Good morning, everyone. 2 years ago, we elected new sheriffs across the state of Tennessee, and during that time period, there were about 35 new sheriffs across the state. What normally happens, they get 40 hours of training before they take office September the 1st, and then they get an additional 40 hours 2 weeks after they take office. But our criminal justice team this year decided that we will do a 2-year training cycle for those 35 new employees. It was an idea that the three of them came up with. They put the whole program together, and it was very successful. It was so successful that they've asked us to reach out and do something similar for their chief's deputies. So we're looking at trying to do that sometime in the next year. But I just wanted to shout out to Jim Hart, Clint Schrum, and Derek Woods for their their desire and their willingness to train elected officials at the local level. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, John. Next up for LEIC, we have Dr. Jeff Lindsay.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Director Scarborough wanted me to give a shout out to Amanda Moore. Amanda is a terrific teammate. She has been a teammate worth emulation from her first days with LEIC. No task is too small or too demanding for her. She is a can-do individual who is valued by everyone she works with. Thank you, Amanda.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Lindsay. Now we have MTAS and Margaret Norris.
Yes, thank you. So I've got, first off is Sherry Brown, and you all know that we are doing DASH conversion, and Sherry has led the charge for the DASH training. So she has done 3 train the trainers. She unexpectedly had to do 2 on the same day. She jumped in, made that happen. On the training, she also had to do it twice. Same training twice. Not only did she have to do a recording of it that everybody can watch later, which I highly encourage you to do, especially if you're a traveler. And then she also did the live webinar. So and training is not something that Sherry does every day. In fact, she doesn't do training. So the fact that she stepped up and volunteered to do that was really remarkable. So huge shout out to Sherry for all of her efforts on the DASH training. And then on Cindy, Cindy is on the training team. She does a lot of our online training. And as we all know, Kate has not been the most user-friendly program that we've got out there. And so Cindy was very proactive and did a customer feedback survey to find out what's working, what's not working with the Kate interface. And as a result of that survey, she put together a new welcome page with some instructions on ease of use, how to work this, how to find what you need. But Cindy is proactive. She's highly responsive. She works with all of the IPS agencies through the Kate efforts. And she does a phenomenal job keeping her supervisor informed and has kind of a no surprise attitude. So Cindy, for all of that, thanks for all your great work and thanks for being a great part of the team. But wait, there's more. So the last shout out I have is for the CMFO testing, software testing implementation group. So Kay, Carrie, Michelle, and Lisa. So the CMFO program has gone, the software that we had for our testing is no longer being supported. So we had to find a new vendor and new software for that. And this group did all of the hard work. You know, a computer conversion is never easy, as we heard about with Dash. We've got to have the training. But these four lovely ladies did an amazing amount of work after hours to try and get this tested, make sure it's going to work for our customers. And the software actually even does, it's anti-cheating. So what's fun about this group is that they actually tried to cheat when they were beta testing the new software. So tried to cheat to see if the system would pick up on their efforts. So woohoo! Thanks for trying to cheat. But great work together. These four don't usually work together routinely, and they've really come together and leading the charge. So online testing helps us, and it also helps our customers so that we can offer fully online training. So four of you, thank you so much for your great job on that effort.
All right, thanks, Margaret. Now for the NAFI Center, Dr. Ely.
Yes, I want to give a shout out to two individuals and two of our newer employees at the NAFI Center, Emily Buttry and Bassam Mina. Both did an excellent job pulling together at the last minute, lots of changes, and they were flexible, they were adaptable, they were resilient, and putting together an advisory board for our newest NAFI Center program, the Tennessee Agriculture and Forestry Leadership Program. So the feedback I received from the advisory board members all had a wonderful positive experience, and just to watch how they navigated through that, spoke about what's good about IPS employees. They exemplified that. So shout out to Emily and Bassam.
Thank you, Dr. Ely. And now for the Tennessee Language Center, and I believe Amanda Shepard is going to do our shout out this morning.
I am. Thank you, Dr. Byrd. Today, we want to recognize April, Amy, and Javier for the amazing job that they've been doing preparing us for our move to Polk Avenue. They've spent extra hours and extra energy for sure, preparing all of our files, going through the records and retention schedule to make sure that we are in compliance, and shredding away. So we really want to thank them for their extra effort in that.
All right, thank you, Amanda. And now for the SMART initiative, Dr. Jennifer Turville.
Good morning, everybody. So we want to shout out Sarah McCall. She's our East Tennessee substance use consultant, and she has really expanded her reach over the last few months. She has started engaging with several new cities and counties and doing amazing work. She just hosted a big event for the city of Nyota, and she also presented at the Rural Health Association conference. And we recently did a survey for communities that we're engaging with, and she just got really great feedback from a lot of the county officials that she's been working with. So big shout out to Sarah. She is not here on this call today. She took extended holiday break. So when you all see her, congratulate her. And she'll be terribly confused. So that'll be fun for us. But we're very proud of her work.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Turville. One of the other traditions that we have in each shout out is that we recognize new employees that have come on board since the last time we were together. And so today we want to recognize these folks that are new. Welcome to Laura Kidwell, who has joined MTAS as one of our MTAS attorneys. So we're glad to have Laura here. And then from CTAS, we have two new employees, Taylor Coker and Tom Brashear. Welcome to you. In CIS, we have Shannon Nunez and Enrique Macias de Anda. And so we're glad to have them in CIS. In the Law Enforcement Innovation Center, we have a new employee, Randy Murray. And then in the NAPI Center, we have a new employee that we want to recognize and welcome, Dr. Emily Buttry. Welcome to all these folks. I know that all of you will make them very welcome to our place as you meet them in the coming days and months. So we're glad that you're here. We look forward to all the good things that you're going to be doing as part of our IPS family. And we look forward to seeing great things from you down the road, and let us know anytime that we can help you. All right. Today I wanted to do something a little bit different from what we've been doing and give you some UT system updates. As part of the UT family, it's important sometimes to know some of the things going on, and there are a lot of great things happening across our system, and not all of them have to do with sports teams, although there's been some excitement there. So I wanted to call out a few things that have been happening over the last year in the UT system. One thing I think that is significant is that as part of our greatest decade in the history of the University of Tennessee, we have a pretty aggressive growth goal in enrollment. And at our last Board of Trustees meeting, President Boyd announced that this year we were above 62,000 students enrolled at University of Tennessee schools. That's about a 6% increase. And we are well on the way to our goal of enrolling 71,000 students in the UT system by 2030. So we're excited to see those results. Along with that, we have record numbers applying to come to the University of Tennessee. Recently, I was told that we had over 60,000 high school students applying for 6,000 freshman spots at the University of Tennessee at Knoxville. So we've become a pretty competitive place, at least here on the Knoxville campus, and admissions. And it's a challenge to compete with those kinds of numbers. But we have a lot of great students coming into all of our campuses. We've had several campaigns over the last year. We've added 15 new Everywhere You Look UT murals across the state. And we still have a number of counties that are not represented in that list of murals. So if you know of a place that might make a good Everywhere You Look UT mural, that would be great. We've also had a campaign going on across the state as far as recruiting students. And President Boyd and others have been engaged in what we're calling our Find Your UT campaign, where we invite folks to take a look at our unique campuses, the 5 campuses that we have across the state and what they have to offer. And we know there's a UT that fits any student that wants to attend a UT system school. So a lot of exciting things happening there. We've had some exciting developments as far as advancement and giving goes. We had a goal this year to surpass $400 million in private support. And Carrie Witcher reports that we had a historic $430.3 million given in gifts from a record number of 86,751 donors. And we're moving quickly toward a $3 billion goal for this best decade in the history of the University of Tennessee. So a lot of great things happening, some neat things going on. One thing that our leadership team has been working on has been to meet a challenge to identify what things need to happen at the Institute for Public Service for this to be the best decade at IPS, along with the UT system goal of having the best decade. So if you have ideas on things that we could accomplish that will be beneficial to us as we move toward the best decade in the history of the university, we'd love to hear from you about your ideas about what would make our accomplishments part of that best decade. We've had some great work going on in the face of tragedy at the Institute for Public Service and with our agencies. And so I wanted us to have an update and for you to hear from some of the folks involved on some of the work that happened in response to Hurricane Helene and the aid that was given and work that was done by, in particular, 3 of our agencies as we move forward. And I don't know who's going first, so I'm going to turn over and assume that whoever unmics and starts talking is the one to go. But you'll hear from MTAS, CIS, and CTAS about some of the work going on there. So who's up first?
I guess I'll go first, Dr. Byrd.
All right.
And hello again, you all. At CTAS, we were able to assist all 9 counties that were affected, anywhere from the area of helping to transport inmates from the Cott County Jail to one of the other jail facilities, helping to evacuate downtown Newport, flying the drone over particular areas within the affected counties so that FEMA and others could get a different visual of what was going on from the air level. We also assisted all the counties with some of their FEMA requirements that they were needing early off so that they can start getting FEMA money in place. And then we assisted with what we thought would be tax losses from some of the damaged property. So we're trying to give them an idea of potentially the money that they will be losing over a long period of time. That included our field staff, our public safety team, our legal teams, and staff members from our CCFO program. And that's a quick update on what CTAS has done.
Herb, I can go next. So
All right.
some of the photos you've seen up there were Newport and Irwin. Those were 2 of our probably hardest hit cities in the area. And we did a lot with them. We worked on financial documentation for FEMA and TEMA. We've helped with a legal authority. So normally cities aren't allowed to go onto private property. So in an emergency, you have to declare the emergency from a legal standpoint. And what do you have to do without having warrants or authorities to do so? Dealt with a lot of biohazards. You don't typically think of that, but there was hazardous materials in all of that water floating around. We worked with the city's insurer to help the cities. So we got them with the cities and all of us together to say, here's the difference between filing an insurance claim and here's a difference in filing a FEMA or a TEMA claim. And so getting all those groups together and working on how best to help them recover from the financial standpoint. Also worked with TEMA. There's an emergency management assistance compact, and we worked on that with the responses across the state, a lot of mutual aid work. So when there's a disaster, other cities want to come and help. That's called mutual aid. So helping coordinate that with the police and both the fire on those. Did a lot of work with the Fire Chiefs Association, the Tennessee Association of Chiefs of Police. We've got a Tennessee Fire Information Resource Exchange, which we've been using for years, but we use that Google Group's acronym is FIRE. You know how we like acronyms. So the FIRE Google group to keep everybody up to date and informed on what was going on, what the needs were, and how other folks could help. In Greenville and Greene County, sorry, John, we helped out the county too. We helped with GIS data and analytics, and specifically with debris management as well. So doing the GIS to help them figure out how they can respond to all of that. We helped Irwin with with a list of contractors who can help clean up all this stuff, because all of that was just too much for the city crew to handle. So helping them know who else is available to do that. Greene County Emergency Operations Center, we helped them by coming up with some traffic diversion. You know, bridges and roads were wiped out. So how do you keep things and services coming into the city for help? Overall, did a lot with mutual aid, county emergency management agencies, a lot of documentation. Anytime there's a disaster, you can get reimbursed, but you've got to prove that you made those expenses. And if you've never been through it before, you don't know what kind of receipts you need to keep and what kind of tracking system you need to develop. So a lot of work with that. I already mentioned biohazards and hazmats. Making sure that cities that have the safety programs that include the mental and physical health, as you've seen all that, you've seen a lot. Mental health of the employees is really critical too. So helping make sure that safety programs incorporate that too. And there are 15 identified emergency support functions, and we worked with cities on making sure that they got all those 15 functions properly handled. So that's a big overview. Let's see, I had one more note. Yeah, got that. So a lot of help overall, and then specifically with Irwin and Newport. Thanks, Herb.
All right. Thanks, Margaret. Next up, talking about some of the aid is Dustin Houstrite. Dustin is a program manager with the Center for Industrial Services over our health and safety, energy, and environment programs. So, Dustin.
Thank you, Dr. Byrd. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what my program in particular done, but as well as the other Center for Industrial Services program. Coincidentally, we were in Greene County about 3 weeks prior to the hurricane hitting and the flooding, and we actually taught a post-storm response safety class there. So those folks have reached back out. That class came in very handy, unfortunate circumstances, though. We also had some full-time and part-time people participating in the actual rescues, either on a swiftwater rescue team or in the incident management team posts there in Unicoi and Greene County. We sent quite a bit of PPE supplies that we had in our storage cabinet up through our university system, EHS, as they went up to participate. Our economic development team actually developed a list of resources, and so in collaboration with our MEP partners, they were able to promote and distribute those to all 9 counties. Personally spoke with around 30 different businesses that were impacted, offering them assistance, whether it was from a solution standpoint or from a supply aspect. In particularly, we were able to get 6,000 rolls of box tape donated to their supply distribution center up in Bristol from a local manufacturer we had some connections with, and then we were also able to get some porta potties, believe it or not, donated to use so some of the manufacturers could stay in business. Particularly in Cotton County, our American Job Center, they had lots of job fairs for the residents that were without work due to those manufacturers being impacted. Our Apex Accelerator hosted a FEMA webinar in conjunction with those officials from Cotton County. And then we also had our American Job Center was staffed there as an access point to assist individuals with unemployment claims and things of that nature.
All right. You know, it's true that when folks are in difficult circumstances, it may be some of the hardest work that we do, but also some of the most impactful and meaningful to folks when they're struggling to overcome these kinds of things. So I'm especially grateful to all of you that have been involved in helping the cities and counties that were impacted by the hurricane and subsequent flooding. Thank you for the good work and the work that continues as we work to help folks recover from that weather event. So thank you. Next up, I wanted to let everyone know that as we enter 2025, we have set some goals for our number of contacts and economic impact. Many of you have heard Randy Boyd say that any goal that we have should be somewhere between the probable and the impossible. And so 900,000 contacts is about a 10% increase over what we will report more than likely for this year. $2.2 billion, we're probably more toward the probable end in my estimation, because you'll see in a little bit, a year or so ago, we had 2.8 billion, but in talking to everyone about the programs that are planned, 2.2 is a stretch beyond what some folks wanted to go, but not as high as I wanted to go. So anyway, thank you for the work that you do in reporting to these things. We report these two items up to the UT System Strategic Plan. And that's a good time then for us to talk about when you enter your contact data and economic impact data and success stories and statements. They are really important for us as we use those things in reporting up to Board of Trustees members, to members of the General Assembly, to others on the President's staff. And of course, we use the data that you enter, and especially the qualitative data, the stories for a lot of our publications and magazines and things. But I just wanted to show you an example here today of two things that we do. You can see over here on the screen that we have a fact sheet for Senator Bill Powers, who is in District 22, mostly Montgomery County. And the impact that we had last year in that county, reported from several of our different agencies, and a compilation of the work that we did in that area from Performance Point or whatever data system you enter in. So you can see that in his district alone, we had almost $82 million of economic impact. You ought to see the eyebrows raised and eyes open when we sit down and talk to legislators about the work that we've done in their district. And that certainly gets their attention, and they have lots of questions about how that happened and the work that we're doing. And for those of you that may not know, our leadership team will go to UT Day on the Hill, and we divide up all the members of the General Assembly, and we personally hand deliver these fact sheets to them. We take advantage of opportunities to sit down with them and highlight some of the things in the impact sheet that we give them. And just in this one, you can see that we have an example of what the Apex Accelerator Program had done in Montgomery County. And I think the example given there had an example of working with one manufacturer to bring in $1 million of economic impact through a federal contract there. We have an example of folks that were taught languages from the Tennessee Language Center and assistance that they gave in interpreting and translation in Montgomery County. We have an example from CTAS newly elected official training, and those that attended from I think an LEIC example of several that participated in public information officer training that they did with the LEIC, and then a CTAS example of the COCTP program where folks were participating in that. And then, of course, you can see the data points that we share there. On the flip side of all of these is our overall yearly measures that we have with requests for assistance, training participants, contacts, and economic impact statewide. and then a description of who we are and what we do briefly on that side. So we show in a nutshell, I say we, Susan Robertson does all the work to put these together, but this is an example of how we use the information that you submit either up through PowerPoint or Performance Point or your own agency's data management system. And you know, I've been other places where when we needed to report something, we had to send an email out and with an urgent tag saying, hey, send us this information. We don't have to do that here because you submit that through the year. And what you do submit is very important to us in how we use it. We have another example of how we use the data that you enter. This last year, we sent these data sheets to all of the Board of Trustees members. We got this note back from Jamie Woodson, one of the members, and of course, President Boyd is the one that sent them out to them electronically, and Jamie responded by saying, these are outstanding. The IPS is a huge asset to our system and state. These are excellent tools. She was suspecting that maybe our government relations folks did this for all of the UT system. I don't think that's the case. I know they're envious of what we're able to do and we're only able to do that because you enter the data. So just wanted to give that a brief mention and keep those data points coming. We need them. And it's going to be time to start summarizing here very soon as we're getting ready to turn over a new year. So thank you for your work. This is just a small way we show what you're doing to other folks that are stakeholders across the state. Also wanted to just quickly call out the recent supervisor survey that we did. We surveyed sent out a survey to all of you that report to our 42 supervisors across the Institute for Public Service. Dr. Ely did that as part of his responsibilities for organizational improvement. We had an 86% response rate to that survey, which is wonderful. So thank you for those of you that filled out that survey for your supervisor. We use it as a tool to help us think about our performance and utilize that. I had my one-on-one meeting with President Boyd yesterday, and I gave him a copy of my supervisor survey, and we talked about the places that I was doing well and places that I could stand to improve. And so I'm grateful for the feedback that I got, and I know that all the supervisors in our organization are as well, and we'll use that information to help us get better. If you're looking at the slide there, you can see what the average supervisor in our place rated. You can see there's some areas that we're doing really well. This is a scale, by the way, of 1 to 5. So you can see we're higher than a 3 on average than on all of these items. And some, again, we excel in more than others. Our overall supervisor evaluation is a 4 out of 5. So that's good. It also indicates there's room for us to improve, and we'll strive and work to do that. I visited with all of our executive directors about their supervisor survey, and also looked at all the supervisors that report to them, and each director has a strategy in talking to everyone and talking about places that we can get better. This is not part of the performance review process, and so this is solely a tool to help us as we strive to be the best that we can be. All right. This last month in November, we had a chance kind of midway through our strategic plan to gather with all of our IPS strategic plan champions in Cookeville. And I thought it'd be good if we got a quick update on where were on some of our strategic plan items. So next up is Dr. Maisel Ely to talk about our strategic plan, our progress, and where we're going.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Byrd. As Dr. Byrd mentioned, November 21st, we had 41 IPS employees gather together in Cookeville and did a time of celebrating that midpoint of the IPS strategic plan. And in doing so, our employees shared the different results of what they've been able to accomplish. And it's, if you remember, our IPS strategic plan has 4 focus areas: financial stability, marketing and communications, programs, and people. And of those 4, we have 32 action items in the plan. And so if we can go to the next slide, one of the things you'll notice in the green is 20 of the 32 action items have been completed now. So at midpoint, we have now completed 20 of those 32 items. So the remaining 12 items is kind of what I'd like to focus on for our time together today. We have 118 champions, 118 employees that are currently or have worked on the strategic plan at some point. If you're not working on the strategic plan or haven't been able to contribute, I would highly encourage you to reach out to me. Let me know if we can plug you in one of these items that I'm getting ready to share with you. So I want to share with you some upcoming things that to look out for in 2025. But if you're interested in what has been already completed and you're not familiar with it, you can simply go to the IPS intranet. And under strategic planning, you can find each of the action items. You can find who has been working on those and get a quarterly update and a percentage of effort that's been completed towards those action items. But as we look at upcoming things for 2025, I just wanted to hit one from each of these 4 focus areas because of time allotment. Financial stability. We have Danny Norman from CIS who will be gathering a team together in 2025. And their purpose is to analyze program markets, identify new markets, and then create a new market entry strategy procedure that, as a best practice that agencies can use and leverage when they're looking at what's out there and where would they like to be and going forward for the future. So if you're interested in that, please reach out to me or Danny Norman. But that's something that under financial stability that was in the strategic plan that you're going to be hearing more about as we get into 2025. Marketing and communications. Trent Clegg, in conjunction with Christy and Susan, are working on creating a mobile app for internal communications among us as IPS employees. And so you'll be hearing more about that in 2025. If you're interested in that or have feedback or thoughts of what that might look like or suggestions, please feel free to give that feedback to Trent, Susan, or Christy, or myself. We'd be more than happy to also try to integrate you into the process of championing that action item. Thirdly, under programs, we have Jeff Stiles with MTAS. He has gathered a team over the past year, and they've been working as a cross-agency work group to identify ways to help us better prepare and to address emerging needs, both in training and in technical services, and how IPS can be at the forefront of those things, of allowing us to be all things subject matter expert in providing expertise in the technical aspects as well as training. So they've come up with some recommendations, some best practices, and they'll be sharing that report in either January or February of 2025 with the IPS leadership team. And then shortly after, we'll share that with employees of creating some kind of action plan as a result of those recommendations on emerging needs in training and technical services. Finally, under the people category, this is not just an update, but this is also a plea from Maisel. We need some more help in this area. So if you're interested, please feel free to reach out. Under people, we're looking to develop a job shadowing program. This came from feedback from you as we created the strategic plan. And so we're looking for someone to take the lead. We've got several on the team that are ready to champion it, but we're looking for a leader to step up and to be the lead champion for that team. developing a job shadowing program within IPS for IPS employees. So as an IPS employee, you would have an opportunity to job shadow someone from another agency in another capacity. Learning more about what one another do will not only equip us to appreciate the work we each do, more so than we do now, but it also allows us and equips us to better inform our customers of the services that we provide and giving us a more enterprise perspective of not just the agency we work with, but also all 6 agencies in our SMART initiative. So if you're interested in learning more about the job shadowing program and would either interested in leading that or also just jumping on and helping us champion it as one of the team members, please let me know. But you'll hear more about that in 2025 as well. So with that said, thank all of you, the 118 that are working, but also I'm by faith going to say for those that are going to join us that above and beyond the 118 in 2025, thanks for what you're doing. It's making a difference. And I'm looking forward to seeing all 32 action items completed by the completion of 2025. Back to you, Dr. Byrd.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Ely. I am very grateful to Dr. Ely for his leadership of our strategic plan. And for those of you that aren't just brand new, I hope that you have seen ways that our strategic plan has made a difference for you in more than one way, and that you see evidence of that strategic plan working in our organization because it really has worked to move us forward. It's moved us forward at a fast clip, and we look forward to completing this strategic plan at the end of 2025, and maybe we can all celebrate together when we're together next at IPS conference. I wanted to mention DASH. We are in that mad dash for DASH implementation, and I would imagine by now most everyone would have gotten an invitation to participate in DASH training. If you haven't done that, I encourage you to do that because we go live here coming up on the 6th, I believe, 5th or 6th. So we're just a few days away from DASH being our ERP system-wide program. I know it's going to bring some challenges. Some of you have told me about some of those that we're having. It's going to bring a new learning curve, and it will bring, hopefully, over time, after we get accustomed to it, an easier way to access our information that we need for our business functions, HR records, and recruiting and hiring and all those other things that DASH will encompass for us. And I know we have a lot of folks that have been on the DASH testing team. So thank you for the time investment that you've made there. And a number of you have volunteered and are working to do our DASH training and to helping all of us come up to speed. That's been a lot of work, and we recognize that. And again, we thank you for the investment you've made in our place by ensuring that we've been involved in the process leading up to DASH implementation. So we look forward to getting that going and working through any bugs that we find. And I know that you'll lay in there and do great work as we move forward with DASH. I wanted to give an update. This is one of those never-ending things, I think. Update on some facilities. Thanks to Felicia Roberts, she sent us some pictures of the new space that we have at Polk Avenue on the first floor. And as has already been mentioned, the Tennessee Language Center folks are busy packing up and getting ready to move toward the end of this month and be open and ready for business at Polk Avenue starting in January. I know that their classes are going to meet there at Polk Avenue beginning with the first of the year, and we're excited about getting that. We've been excited to get this space, and I have to say the building management folks have cleaned it up nicely. They've gotten it all ready for us to go, almost anyway. Chris Roberts from our team is there today with folks from the university getting all of our networking wiring in and our servers in and the things that we'll need there to ensure good connectivity, both on a hard wire and our EduRoam and UT Open wireless networks. So Chris is there today and tomorrow if need be to get that going. And as soon as that's up and running, we're ready for business there at Polk Avenue on the first floor. Now, many of you know that as a part of this, on the second floor, we've also had some work done where we've added some restrooms there at the end where our training center is. So if you look at the picture that's on the left of the screen, you're coming right off the elevator and around the corner and looking to your right into the training center space. And dead ahead, 2 new restrooms. They're not a high capacity. I think there are only 2 stalls or commodes in each one. But it does give us a place where you can run real quick and have a restroom handy without having to go all the way down the hall to the restroom. So we're glad to get those in. It's going to be a great addition to our usability of the space. No pun intended. So we're excited about that. Now, while we're on space, many of you know that we're working toward an update of our space here at 1610 University Avenue. And Tim Waldo is leading our team on getting these renovations done. And he can answer a lot of questions for you if you have those here at 1610. Our hope is that very soon after the first of the year, we'll be able to begin renovations here. We are still waiting on a date or two to be sure that's happening. But for those of you on the second floor at 1610 University Avenue, December is a really good time to start packing some things up, taking personal items home, and being ready because shortly after the first of the year, I expect that we'll need to be out of the second floor. We'll have an all building meeting as soon as we can get that put together and as soon as we have the information that we need to share. But we expect that that will happen soon after the first of the year and that we'll need to be preparing for that. And once again, very soon, we hope to have the rest of the information we need to gather everybody around and talk about what's going to happen. We'll also have, hopefully soon, some plans to review and get some input and feedback on arrangements and fixtures and all of those things from those of you in the building. And that's going to be moving rapidly, we hope, after the first of the year. So those are some facilities updates, and we'll look forward to having more to share about 1610 University Avenue soon. Also on Polk Avenue, we've had Baskin and Associates looking at our space, and they're going to help put together a plan for us to utilize our space in the best way, and also a plan of whether we update the second floor and then the first floor or vice versa, and the best strategy for getting those updates so that eventually here, hopefully within the next year or so, we'll have all of our Nashville agency offices consolidated there in Polk Avenue. So I look forward to that coming soon. And as soon as we have that information to share with you, we'll do that. All right. We are at the end of all the things that we had prepared to share with you today. Thank you for being with us today. Thank you for all the things that you do each and every day. You make a positive difference all over our state and beyond. So thanks for the good work. We look forward to planning for a great year in 2025. And once again, I hope you're going to be on that nice list here before long. So at this point, if anyone has questions, feel free to unmic and ask that live, or Susan is monitoring chat for us here. If you would like to ask a question by chat, or if you have a comment, we're certainly open to those at this point in time. So if anybody has a question or comment, now's the time.
Dr. Byrd, I'm going to ask my question that I typically ask you at these.
All right. Thanks, Kim. I can always count on you.
What keeps you up at night? What are the things that you think, gosh, we really need to be moving in a particular direction and we're not getting there quite quick enough, or things that you think we need to be really focused on? Laser on.
Yeah, probably the first thing, and maybe the biggest thing that comes to mind, is probably not going to be a surprise to anybody. But with AI moving along as quickly as it is, I think we're really going to have to be on our toes to ensure that we use AI appropriately. And even in some of our agencies, AI is going to be doing some things that we've typically done with a human, where probably we're going to have to figure out how to use AI to cut the amount of time that we invest, and then use our time to ensure that the AI tools that we have given the appropriate answers, and we have to edit those. But for instance, especially in language translation and interpreting, AI tools are moving really fast, and they don't get it 100% right. But very soon, if not already, they're going to have enough of it right that a lot of people are going to be using those tools, I think. But in every one of our agencies, there are places where AI tools are things that we need to be using, we need to be evaluating, and we need to help our customers evaluate and use what's appropriate as well. So for me, that's the biggest thing. We're going to have an administration change in our state soon. And we've certainly just had a federal administration change. Those things are going to mean changes for us, and we don't know what they are yet. We don't know what the priorities will be yet. I anticipate that there are some we're going to be really excited about. For instance, Paul Jennings is in Washington, D.C., I think today, looking at an opportunity that we have to engage in some new program areas or to expand some of our program areas with some federal dollars. And I think there's some on the horizon from the state for some of our agencies, and maybe a new agency program. And that's exciting. At the same time, there's a lot to consider and a lot to think about as we look to implementing those new things. So I guess that's what's on my mind these days. Now, not much keeps me up at night. So, but those are things I think we need to think about and be prepared for.
Thank you.
All right, what else? Do we have one on the chat?
We do have one. Someone asked about the supervisor survey data, and are there plans to address any of the lower scores that were on the surveys?
All right, so the supervisor survey data and plans to address some of the lower scores. I will say this, we didn't have a lot of low scores, but where we did, executive directors and I have discussed that, whether it was the executive director that had a low score or one of the supervisors that reports to that executive director. We actually looked at some places that we were doing really well and where we excelled, and we looked at places where we need to improve. And so one thing that we'll do is in our one-on-ones that I have with executive directors, we'll discuss what we're doing, how things are coming, and some of that as we have those monthly one-on-ones. I also should have mentioned one other thing regarding supervisor surveys. You gave some statements about where a supervisor was doing really well, and some of you gave some constructive feedback on areas that we as supervisors can improve. And so I want to really thank you for doing that. In the past, there have been some individuals that have tried to use that as a gotcha or as, I'll just say sometimes the statements weren't very helpful to constructive criticism. They were just criticism. And this time, your comments were very, very instructive, very helpful, and very useful in thinking about areas that we need to improve. And so I want to commend you for that. Thank you for that. Sometimes how we say something makes a difference on whether it's received in the proper way or not. And you did that very well this time. So thank you. Anything else? Going once, going twice. Any last burning thought, question, or comment? All right. Well, the good news here is it takes a lot less time to tear down and pack up than it does to set this thing up. I very much appreciate Trent and Susan and for the work they did to help get this going. Chris would have been here. He was involved some, but he's in Nashville and not in the room today. But thank all of you for joining us. Thank you again for what you do. I'll probably see a lot of you between now and our winter break. But for those of you that I don't see, wish you the very, very Merry Christmas holiday and a very Happy New Year. And I look forward to all the work that we're going to have an opportunity to engage in 2025. So I'll see you somewhere down the road. And thank you again for being with us today and for what you do.